5:45, your Business 911 brings you to your Greater Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. And Sandra Dueck, our Policy Analyst. Hello.
Hello.
You bring us a report from the Ontario Chamber.
I do. It's called Beyond the Finish Line. So it deals with kind of the aftermath of the Pan Am Games, which will be happening in and around the GTA this summer. So it's really quite interesting. We're going to enjoy the games. We're going to have a lot of athletes here, and it's going to be great. But then once they all leave, what are we left with? Are we planning for that future? And I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that the Ontario Chamber would like the government to think about.
Okay.
Okay, what are they?
Well, one is tourism. We know that a lot of tourism dollars, the federal government cut the tourism budget, and now our reach into international communities has been severely limited. So we want to make sure that any tourism marketing dollars are really attracting those international folks. We also want to make sure that we start developing, in conjunction with small and medium businesses, future plans for the venues, and I know that has started. So that's great, because you want to make sure that they have as much use, that they can be those economic impacts in a community with sports and cultural events in the future. So that's another way. And the other one is to build those trade relationships. We're going to have all of these people coming from many of them Latin American countries, and 2% of our exports are going to Latin America. Only 2%, yet they produce about $5.7 trillion US dollars in GDP. So they're quite a market that we're not reaching into. So this is an opportunity. While they're here, we can build those relationships to increase our exports to those areas. And it has added benefit. We're not as dependent on the U.S. market for our exports.
Yeah, and one of the things you always think, like I think of the Olympics, and one of the scariest things for a city is hosting it, because you end up in debt afterwards. Is this something that we're afraid of as well?
Well, we want to make sure it doesn't happen, and I'm sure there's been a lot of measures put in place to make sure that it doesn't happen. And that's why, having a plan for what happens afterward, and looking, and not just, looking beyond the games, it is really important, because that way you can avoid having those problems that other communities have had with the Olympics and other events. Because I mean, it's great. You've got these great venues that are being built all across, and events like cultural and sporting events really do have economic impact on community. The article that I wrote for the Voice of Business this week really looks at that and what some of our tournaments here do for us. So you can imagine, you've got these great venues, what they can do for Ontario, and if Ontario's economy goes up, Peterborough's right there, and we all rise together.
And that's why the Chamber of Commerce is watching what happens with the Pan Am Games. Thank you very much, Sandra Dueck. You can find out more at peterboroughchamber.ca and find Sandra's blog there as well.
Thank you very much. All right, let's go to Kaylee after this.
Business 911 is brought to you by Nexacom Unlimited Internet. We have what it takes.